Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video we take a look at the Batman episode, The Big Chill. Nope, you're not seeing things. I've started a series of the Batman episode reviews. So now all of you who've been clamoring for some The Batman content on this channel, well, your time has finally come. Just a brief introduction of my relationship with the show. I've never been a big fan of it. Back when it aired, I never really followed it. I watched some episodes here and there, and I actually don't think I've ever seen anything beyond season 2. The Batman is just not my Batman. I don't care for the style and tone. I don't like the way the characters were portrayed. I don't appreciate the focus on action instead of story and character, and it certainly doesn't help that two of my favorite rogues, Two-Face and Scarecrow, were completely absent from the show. But considering the fact that there's tons of episodes I haven't seen, I might find some value in this series while doing these reviews. First up, however, is an episode I did see, The Big Chill, the 5th episode of the show and the introduction of Mr.Freeze. The episode was written by Greg Weisman and directed by Brandon Vietti. So in The Big Chill, we're introduced to Mr. Freeze, a new supervillain in Gotham City with metahuman ice powers. Freeze starts a crime wave in the city, stealing diamonds and other valuables, naturally leading to a confrontation with Batman. The Dark Knight then discovers that this metahuman is actually Victor Freeze, a petty crook we had fought a while back. During that altercation, the Caped Crusader chased Victor to a cryolab, where the hoodlum accidentally fell into a cryotube, resulting in his current state of being. This is actually the episode I remember the strongest from the show. I don't know why, I guess it just stuck with me. It kind of represents a lot of the stuff I dislike about the series. Like for example how they completely changed Mr. Freeze's character and origin story. To me, Victor shouldn't actually have any metahuman powers. He's supposed to be a dude who simply can't survive in above 0 degrees. That's part of why he's so tragic. His so-called power is more of a curse. Then with his genius intellect, Victor has been able to invent a cryosuit that keeps him alive, and a freeze gun that makes him a formidable threat. But of course this Victor isn't a genius. He's not a scientist at all, just a common thug. He couldn't possibly invent any cryo gear even if he wanted to. Then we have the removal of Nora Freeze from his origin. In the animated series and subsequent comic books, saving or avenging his wife is Freeze's sole motivation. This change made him an actual interesting and compelling character, as opposed to the boring walking ice gimmick Freeze originally was. But here in the Batman, we basically went back to that flat take on him. In this episode, Freeze is once again just a stereotypical supervillain with an ice theme, complete with terrible ice puns even. Yeah, there's tons of Batman and Robin styled puns in this episode. In what alternate universe would Batman fans appreciate that? I get it, the creators of the show wanted to distance themselves from the animated series as much as they could. The Batman was after all the successor to Taz, and how do you top that masterpiece of a cartoon? Well, it's best to not even try, and instead focus on doing something completely different. I fully support this idea, even though it ended in a show that isn't the Batman that I love. But anyway, with this said, I can totally understand why they didn't want to go with the Paul Dini take on Freeze from Taz. I feel though that they should have taken parts of it, tweaked it, like Scott Snyder did in the New 52, although better than he did, he just totally fucked it up. What the creators of the Batman ended up doing is just completely uninteresting. I don't care at all about this Victor Freeze. He's a common hood and a criminal, and as far as we know, he always was that. Once he gets the ice powers, all Victor wants is to get rich and rule Gotham. That's his big motivation in this episode, money and power. So boring and not compelling whatsoever. Yeah, I know this is a cartoon, but I'm gonna say it anyway. He's such a cartoon villain. The type that twirls his mustache as the damsel lies helpless tied down to the train tracks. That's Mr. Freeze in The Big Chill, although with ice powers. They try to do something with Victor holding Batman responsible for his icy condition, but it's very weak, because it wasn't really Batman's fault at all. Victor had just robbed a diamond store, and then he himself fled into a cryolab. And really, there's just random unlocked cryolabs all over Gotham? It was also due to his own clumsiness that he fell into the cryotube, so no one is to blame but Victor himself. He's a criminal scumbag and an incompetent idiot with a lot of bad luck, and that's why he became Mr. Freeze. Besides, Victor seems to really enjoy his powers, so what's there to nag about? The funny thing is though, Bruce actually feels guilt over this. Yeah, at one point in the episode, he blames himself for what happened to Freeze, and get this, even contemplates giving up his career as Batman. What? Just what? I know he was suffering from a fever at the time after being exposed to Victor's ice powers, but still, that is some really bizarre writing there. Overall, this episode features some very weak, cheap, lazy, and illogical writing. If I'm going to give it any type of praise, it's that at least the action is well done. I guess even better than in Taz. It's more fast-paced, and the animation is more fluent. The design for Mr.Freeze is also pretty cool. If you're going to make him a metahuman, which I don't think you should, then this is a pretty good look, I suppose. The eyes that surrounds his head also serve as a nod to his classic dome, and the red eyes are a nod to his goggles, so that's pretty nice. What's not cool looking though is that anti-eye suit that Batman wears in the finale. It reminds me of all those ridiculous Batman action figures from the 90s, where he wore all kinds of weird outfits. Scuba Batman, Lava Batman, Rock Climbing Batman, Chemical Attack Batman. I remember I had one in a yellow suit. What was that one for? When he fights Pissman? Yeah, sorry about that. I guess watching this episode made me really juvenile. So there you have it. That's the Batman episode, The Big Chill. A very weak retelling of Mr. Freeze's origin. Next up in this series, I think I'll give the Riddler's first episode, Riddled, a review. I haven't seen that one. In fact, I haven't seen any of the Riddler episodes, but I've always been intrigued by his very different redesign. Remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.